Hi, and welcome to Football United TV. And you, hi people, and welcome to Football United TV. This is Gunners from all corners. Got to apologise, we're a bit late. We're getting a bit technical issues, so if you could just bear with us. Well, there's me, Anthony, and I'm joined by Tony called Gunner TV. Another Anthony. How are
Another
you, Ant? You all right,
Anthony.
mate?
Hey guys, see, there was a little bit of a technical difficulty here, but we never give up. We always come swinging. We never give up,
Yeah.
and that's all. About Arsenal, never give up at all. Anthony, it's nice to see you. Since after you went on holidays, sipping pino coladas, it's nice to see you again.
Oh, I wish. Yeah. No, we just went on holiday here in the UK, down south in Cornwall, because it was
Yeah,
the my son's 21st birthday,
yeah, yeah,
and we had a bit of party for him when we got back as well.
yeah, yeah.
So that's the reason why
I
we
actually,
didn't,
I actually bigged you up in my own show, like bigged you up real big, and also prayed for you for your, safe travels and everything. So, because apart from doing shows with you, you've also become my friend, actually, because you're
yeah,
always out there for me. Thank you very much, Anthony.
no, that's all right. So, what friends are for, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get on. Right, so we're going to discuss the North London Derby win. Obviously, we won 3-1, get in there. I watched the game. Um, Brilliant win, 3-1, good goals. And also, what a win for Arsenal. And Arteta's doing really well. You can't fault him. But what I want to know is, what's your thoughts on the game, mate?
See, Anthony, these are what dreams are made of. It's always a dream come true when you're playing your biggest rivals in the league. Form is thrown away, it's thrown out of the window. Everything is thrown out of the window. Respect is thrown out of the window. Everything that actually matters to a premiership or to a Premier League game is thrown out the window. The intensity is there. The the hunger is there. Everything is there, and obviously the match last weekend had all that. In that game.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah, it had all that. Of course, you've already said that. Three goes to one. Uh, let's don't overplay our hands. We definitely knew that we'll kind of like beat Tottenham Hotspurs because they've never won in at the Emirates since since 2010. That's a long stretch. To go on a barren run. In a place where you thinking if you could win or not. So it's not really their stomping ground. We always beat Spurs at home. It's a culture. And it was just fair that we did that. Uh, I thought that Antonio Conte came to disrespect Arsenal with the formation he played. He didn't come there to really like, let's say, shore up the midfield. He didn't. So he didn't pay respect to Arsenal because when you watch the Arsenal team, any coach knows this. Every coach knows this. The season, Arsenal's distribution and transition and tiki taka kind of passes and transition from defense to midfield is top notch this season. We have ball possession. Even in the game we lost against Manchester United, we have the ball possession. So what do you do to counter Arsenal? You just have to make sure, mostly when you're playing from uh, with negative tactics, in which Conte brought in to the Arsenal at the Emirates, he ought to have at least sacrificed one of the front three, make that midfield a kind of like a very steely one so that it would be very, very impossible for players like Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey to actually penetrate into that midfield. So they had a field day because it didn't create that brick wall for them not to pass. And again, the coach doesn't trust people like Jeff Spence or even a Bizuma who they brought in from Brighton, because that would have really ensured that they shot up that midfield, create a midfield five while sacrificing maybe a Son or even a Richarlison. But they totally disrespected Arsenal's position at the top of the table, and they paid the price. We could see how Thomas Partey ran that show. Yes, Granit Xhaka was the man of the match, but you cannot underestimate what Thomas Partey did in that game. He ran the show. He was the foundation. His tiki taka passes in and about the midfield, top notch. When every other player, were just out there doing their thing offensively, he was just down there sitting, relaxing, watching the whole game and mopping up the midfield. He was just that good. And Granit Xhaka is runs offensively, creating space. Like Anthony, can you believe it? Granit Xhaka creating space for players.
Do you know what, Tim? I gotta be honest with you, he's improved this season. And I think if you go back last season, it's most probably the last 5 games of last season.
Mm,
So I don't know what it is. I think Arteta may have got through to him, saying, look, calm down, this is it. Just go out there, play the game and enjoy it. And you
yeah.
know what? You can actually see it. You can actually see it. And what he's been doing, he's been one of our best players in DM this season.
He's
Alongside
the
someone.
he's the best player.
Yeah,
Let's be
no,
frank
he is.
about
Yeah,
this. He's the
he is.
best
Yeah,
player.
because I mean, Thomas Partey, he's been out injured, hasn't he? So what can we do there? As long as
What
we
can
got
we do?
Shaka playing,
Yeah,
I feel that we're right there in that DM. Okay, he's better alongside Partey,
yeah,
but if Partey's out injured, he needs to come in and step up to the
yeah,
plate
and step
and
up to the
play
plate.
how he normally does now. Because
True,
that's the key to our DM now.
true.
Uh,
I,
you
I
you
totally
also
agree.
say about like it was like this man of the match, but for me, I looked at that game and Martinelli on that left, blimey,
Oh,
he was on fire.
oh, oh.
The
Emerson
skill,
Royale
the
was on
pace,
was on was
crossing the
on
balls
was
in,
on toast.
yeah,
He was on toast, and he drove at him. Emerson Royale came out from that game like a rotisserie chicken. He cooked him real bad in that game, and of course, he lashed out. You see that red card he got. That wasn't really intentional, but
no,
it was pent up tension and the pent up frustration that he has had throughout that game. He had to lash out at him because Martinelli have been taking him through turns, actually open him out. And you won't believe it that this player, Emerson Royal, has spent about £1 million to try and improve himself as a player. Like,
yeah,
this is strict fact. So if that is the kind of player he is after all that money spent, well, I think he should go, and I hope he put a buyback clause or a payment back clause in that contract is signed with the person who is giving him personal training. He
yeah,
was on toast
yeah,
that day. Yeah, completely on toast. And again, this season, the dynamic with Saka we should not keep it silent. Saka hasn't really been performing this season in terms of the output of goals this season. But there's something I've watched this season. Everyone, everyone in that team have moved on from Saka. They don't really pay much attention to him the way we paid attention to him last season. He was carrying
Mm,
the team last season. There's a big shift right now. All these players are actually moving on without him. And that's one dynamic that I think that Mikel Arteta has in his armory, because we all know that Saka is this kind of player that cuts in deep around that channel,
mm,
and tries to cut in, from the wings, deep into that 18-yard box. And when he does things like that, what does he do?
mm.
He drags out players because he knows how to cut in. He drags out the opposing defenders. And what does he do? He creates openings, he creates
But
spaces
yeah,
for
he
people
does.
like
Yeah,
Granit Xhaka, your Thomas Partey, even to even
yeah.
have a nick, with that wonder,
I mean, I
that,
have seen
that
it as
that
well.
wonder goal,
People talking
Anthony,
about
that wonder
Saka.
goal
He's like 10 goals on it last season, and
that season.
to be honest with you, he did carry us because we
Yeah,
had the likes of Aubameyang and Lacazette up front.
yeah,
They weren't no good. They didn't want to do
true.
play for us. They didn't
Hmm.
like the manager,
Hmm.
so it was left to Saka and Smith Rowe to score the goals.
True.
But now we signed Jesus this season.
Yeah.
This is the difference. You can see the difference. It's taken a weight off of Saka's shoulders,
Hmm.
so he can play his part and get the balls into Jesus and vice versa. Because I noticed Jesus goes out to the right and then Saka comes in. So they're swapping rotation. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
I think what it is, they're doing well. They've got like a good system up front, haven't they, Arsenal at the minute? So
Oh my God. And Martinelli is really, really, really playing. Um,
yeah,
he's playing with his strength. He's playing according to his strength right now. Because he has always been criticized because of his poor injury record. But this season, I've seen that he's fit. He has played almost all of Arsenal's. In fact, he has played all of Arsenal's games this season.
yeah,
He's that good. He has that in his armory right now. Unlike other seasons, after he plays 3 games, he's injured. But right now, in his fitness, is something to be lauded. And right now is feeding deep into that energy of his pace. And that's why players like Emerson Royale, we keep on lashing out at players like him, because he puts them on toast with his pace. You see, we don't even need him to score goals. We just need him to use his pace and run out, and run out this defenders. Those spaces will be created because of his pace. Same thing with what happened in the goal we scored in the last goal. I think in Granit Xhaka's goal in that not London derby. Martinelli driving that ball. You saw what happened. He drove that ball, and he's while he's driving with his pace, 2, 3 players are following him, and they just left a Granit Xhaka, in an open net. And what do you do when you're Granit Xhaka and when you have power in your boots? You shoot the ball and you just
yeah,
go straight into the net. So this is the changing dynamic. You don't need to score; just create open spaces for
yeah,
any Arsenal player to just tuck in that ball in.
yeah. Well, it's like what I said. We were watching the game, and I was watching it with my son. Uh, he's only 7, and when Shaka scored that goal, it rifled into the back of the net. And my son was stood next to me, and he said, literally there, he went,
Yeah.
Shakalaka boom. I went, what?
Shakalakaboom.
I went,
Yeah,
where'd that
yeah,
come from?
yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly. It's
Yeah,
something that you can only equate it to what dreams are made of, because it was good. It was just good to finally see that sports team just put in their place. Mind you,
yeah,
they came into that game with a big reputation. They've not lost in the league. Yes, they've been battered in Europe, but they've not lost in the league.
no,
They came completely unbeaten in 8 games. Now that's a fit. Whether you
yeah,
whether you like to attach that mode of importance, or that to attach importance to that anyway, because they've been grinding out results. So you need to put them on that pedestal, like, yeah, they're a team that are actually doing quite well because they're grinding out results. But I knew we'll beat them, because when you just grinding out results, it's tantamount to being lucky in a way. But when you're grinding out results, it's only a matter of time. You'll meet a brick wall and you'll get found out, because you're not putting up the necessary performance to actually match your wins. And that's what is happening with with Tottenham Hotspurs. They are not matching their wins and their results, in which they've been grinding out, with performance. You need to have performance, and if you don't have performance, you'll be found out at the end of the day. And that's just what happened to them,
That's right. Yeah,
at the Emirates. Yeah, things just caught up with them at the end of the day.
yeah. I did have my little doubts in this game, like sort of thing. I knew it. I had 2-1 win in my head, and then my heart was saying 2-2, and I was thinking, oh, what do I go with? Like, but wrong on both accounts. But we won. We got the 3 points, and that was for me. That was everything.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I don't know what was your prediction, but I thought you were saying a draw or something. I don't know.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
you were saying a
I thought it
draw.
was going to be 2-2. To be honest
Yeah,
with you,
that's what
but
you said. I was shocked when you made that prediction, because
yeah,
you're a very positive guy in a way, but I don't know. I don't know what happened to you. You said a 2-2, but you see, yeah, I went to a Tottenham Hotspur a show called the Hotspur Hood. I went there and I was talking with these guys down there, and I said, "Hey, Arsenal's gonna beat you guys 3 goals to 1." They completely mugged me off. They shrugged me off with the facial expressions. And when it happened, Tommy invited me back to his show. And he had an humble pie, and I didn't put them down, because I knew Arsenal would do that to them. They
yeah,
don't come to the Emirates and win anyway, but uh, see, I'm getting behind this team, Anthony. I don't want you to
yeah.
be left behind. This is a train that is moving, and it's moving fast.
But yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think I knew the stream he was on about. I think I watched some of that stream as well. But you know, I mean, I went with a couple of friends. They were Tottenham fans, so they had a bit of stick from me. So do you know what I mean? But it was all done. It was just a bit of
Yeah,
banter, a bit of laugh, and that was it.
yeah, yeah.
So
But again, we have people who are playing down this win. We have legitimate people, I mean, from other fan base, who are actually playing down this win. So I wonder, and that has no credibility to me. It's all hypocrisy, because Tottenham Hotspurs as a team took points from the top six, let me say top four last season. They took points from Manchester City. They took points from Liverpool. They took points from Chelsea. So what are we talking about? This is a
yeah,
legitimate. Okay, to Arsenal, they are not a big team. Yeah, of course, Spurs are shit. We understand that. But if you go into the nitty gritty of the whole thing, Tottenham Hotspurs was one of the only teams to actually take points, apart from Crystal Palace, from the top four last season. And that's a fact. So the total disrespect and lack of laudability from other fan base, it's a shame. It's a shame, because Tottenham legitimately took points from the top guys last season, and for Arsenal to totally put them on a spliff, last weekend, I think deserves a lot of respect than they're giving to us right now.
but yeah, it does. It makes you think if the shoe was on the other foot, what would they have said about us? So,
Yeah, if we have
but we,
lost, they will call for the head of Mikel Arteta instantly.
yeah, yeah, that's right then. So, right, moving on to this one. Right, last night was the Europa League, and we won 3-0. Goals from Medina Ketia, Holding,
Mhm.
and Fabio Vieira, winning 3-0.
Aren't you entertained, Anthony?
Do you know
Aren't you
what?
entertained?
It is entertaining, but I got a confession.
Okay.
I did not see this game because I hadn't got beaten sport. But I did see some of the
Uh,
highlights. I see the goals as well. They were good goals. But basically, all I want to know is what did you think of Arsenal's performance? What did you think of? Obviously, it was a good scoreline, but could we have got more goals? And also, how far do you think you go in this competition?
see, Anthony, I want you to listen to me and listen to me very, very carefully because I will go through, a series of things here. For Arsenal to be able to sustain this title challenge we've just started to mount in the Premiership, we have to adequately, read my lips, adequately make sure that our players are fit enough to play in the Premiership. And the only way we can do that is by rotating and rotating in an effective way. And that's what Mikel Arteta has been doing. So, in other words, we need our squad players to actually rise to the occasion and interchange with our first 11. And that's what they've been doing. Eddie Nketiah has stepped his goal poaching up a notch this season. He has scored in two consecutive Europa League games this season. That's that's incredible because anytime he seems to love the Europa League, anytime he goes to that Europa League, he wants to score. He wants to score. And again, I keep saying, isn't that the kind of squad? Of course, he's not good enough to play in our first 11. I understand this. But isn't it what you want from your squad player to get you goals whenever he comes in? Isn't it, Anthony? Isn't it what you want? For a squad player to score when you bring him in.
Yeah, oh yeah, you definitely want the score when you bring him in. It's like what you
Exactly,
said.
and
He seems to be good
exactly,
in the Europa League. I think he's going to be playing more in cup games.
yeah,
Um,
sure,
Obviously he'd be playing when Jesus. I mean, if he's injured, but such wood, I don't want that to happen.
definitely.
So
But if he's coming on and he's scoring, that's good and great. And even apart from that, right now, see, because many people are slagging us off that we don't have squad in depth. Well, what do you mean by squad in depth when we are using our second string team and we're beating up these guys in the Europa League? Look at Manchester United. They struggled against minnows in Omonia yesterday, and they played
yeah,
even a part of their big, their big, impulsive players. Ronaldo played there, Casemiro played there yesterday, and they struggled to win 3-2. Arsenal just had a field day with Bodo Glimt, you know, uh, and again, again, Fabio Vieira scores a lovely goal yesterday. He has a league goal already, and again he now has a European League goal. We can see the changing dynamics in this team. The guys we're bringing in as our squad players are chipping in the goals. They're having good performances. They are destroying teams as it goes. You made note of, should we have gotten more goals? Yeah, we should have gotten more goals. The old Arsenal would push to get a 5, 6, 7 goals, but right now we have to play sparingly, play effectively, get
yeah,
results effectively, and also maintain the balance we have with our squad players to make sure
mm,
that they are not injured. Because when we have our problem with our first 11, these are the guys that will come in and make that change more effective in the Premiership. And right now, this is one dynamic I want you to understand. When teams like Manchester City are playing their first 11 in the Champions League, teams like Liverpool are playing their first 11 in their Champions League games. Chelsea are playing their first 11 in Champions League games. Arsenal, who's top of the league right now, are using the squad members to go for Europa League. That's why that's the dynamic here right now. We're free now with our first 11 to just come in there and
yeah,
bamboozle anyone we see in the weekend. Because all these guys here, of course, Manchester City have a squad in depth, so they can afford to, win games because they have lots of squad members that are, kind of like competitive the same way their first 11 are. But these other teams are feeling the brunt of it. Liverpool can't even string 3 wins this season, at a go. They're struggling. They can't beat a Brighton team that we know that if they face a force, they'll be destroyed this season. So, those are the dynamics we're seeing. And Arsenal have never had it this easy. Trust me, Anthony.
Yeah. There's one other question I want to ask you, Tim. Um, in that position where Fabio Vieira plays, is
Yeah.
exactly the same position as Odegaard. The question I want to ask you is, which player do you prefer to play in that role? And also, if Fabio Vieira
hmm
fought for that position,
hmm
could he be picked over Odegaard?
Anthony, the fact there is that he's having a good shout. He's having a good shout at that shot. He scored goal now. He has shown that now he can score goals. He has 2 goals this season. Odegaard has about 4, and Odegaard has been playing almost all the games, mind you. So he's having a very, very legitimate shout for that position, whether we like it or not. And again, personally, if you ask me personally, I like a Vieira's game more for me because one is
Yeah,
tactically aware of what's going on in and around him. He has that eye for a pass, which Odegaard too has that eye for a pass. But again, he also has that eye for a shot.
yeah,
Odegaard doesn't have that. Odegaard's
no,
movement is more like, okay, let me just try and create chances for other people. Let me just look for that pass. And in doing that, most of the time, he loses the ball, he loses possession. And of
yeah,
course, Arsenal, when we lose possession, sometimes our defense is left flat out open because most of our players have gone offensively trying to support the attack, and we only have maybe a Saliba at the back and Thomas Partey, who is just sitting right there at the middle of the park and was susceptible to these breaks, just like we saw in Manchester United. So it
yeah,
opens us up. So that's what I'm saying. I think we should be able to use Vieira sparingly in the second halves of games to come in and give us something different. But there's one rule to this modern day game. If a system is working, don't change it, don't tweak it. Odegaard
yeah.
has been working for Arsenal. So I would say don't change it for now. Wait, let's
Mm.
see him play. If he has a couple of lackluster performances, Vieira
Yeah, I
should
mean, it
should
is.
have should have a run out in that game.
Yeah, I know. I mean, don't get me wrong, Odegaard's not too bad, but I always find he drifts, and then players come out of position, they lose their position, and then the attacking team exploits our gaps,
hmm
and then they're through on goal. So, do
True.
you know what I mean? It's frustrating to watch. I just think if he just stays in the middle, because
hmm
that's where he got his goals to. He's got
Yeah,
his goals from the middle of the park.
yeah,
So stay in the middle of the park. And he just doesn't do it. He just rotates and it brings everybody else out of position, whether we're
exactly.
attacking or defending.
Mm-hmm.
And our DMs, they
True,
pull apart, which causes
true,
the gap.
true. And one thing this season people don't really understand is that Gabriel Jesus is it wasn't brought in because right now, and I'm seeing the changing dynamic of a Gabriel Jesus in that team. He wasn't brought in there to be our number 9. I'm sorry to say, he was brought in that team to be a false 9, someone to actually be deceptive in that team. Uh, the typical technicality of what he does is in that final goal yesterday. He dribbled, just started cut. If you watch the highlight of that game yesterday, and so Gabriel Jesus what he did, he actually cut in from the wings, you know, and got even towards the net, and he still had the chance and opportunity to put his eyes up, put his head up, actually, to find that pass for Vieira, and Vieira just
Yeah,
slot in that ball. That's what he's been brought into this club to do. Not as the main man, actually, but he has been brought in to be that guy that takes, because he has a reputation. Three or four players will come out to mark him, and that's what they did yesterday. They came out to play. They came out to mark him out from those wings, and it took one, two, three players put his head up and saw the oncoming Vieira. He just looped that pass easily for Vieira. And again, when you're Vieira with that kind of awareness,
Yeah,
aerial awareness, that's the type of thing that Odegaard doesn't have. He doesn't
no,
have that aerial kind of like awareness. Sometimes he just loses the ball. In spots that could actually leave Arsenal to counter attacks this season, and we've seen that this season it's happened. But Vieira has that discipline in that area. He's very, very aware, and he was just there at the right time and at the right place to just slot in that ball. But already, Gabriel Jesus has already created that space already. He took up to three or four defenders away from that Bodo Glimt defense, and opening their defense wide open, tearing it open, and players like Vieira were there to just slot in that ball easily at the roof of the net, and
yeah,
there's nothing a goalkeeper can do.
yeah. I noticed the attacking ability is better than Odegaard's as well.
Yeah,
He just like
yeah.
gets on the ball, with on more runs and that, and
Exactly,
then
and that's not what your typical number nine does. Your
mm,
typical number
yeah,
nine just want to poach in the ball. But
yeah,
Gabriel Jesus wants to dribble, cut in. He wants to create legitimate chaos in the opposition box. And by
yeah.
so
No,
doing,
no,
he
sorry,
opens
yeah.
up their
I
defense.
just
Yeah.
feel that his all-round play is better than Odegaard's, to be honest with you. But this is going to lead us up to our next topic now. So
The big one.
this weekend, the big one, Liverpool.
I've seen you in chats, my brother. You've been playing careful. I've seen you in chats, my brother.
Now, I've actually had this game. I got this game down for a draw. I don't want to lose. I'd rather take a point. Well, a win would be better, but if we can't win, I'll just take a point,
Yeah.
and I'll be happy with that.
Hmm.
But what I'm going to say to you is, thing, this Liverpool game this weekend,
Yeah.
who do you expect to be in our starting lineup and why?
See, it's the usual guys. Again, don't change what is working. That is very key in modern football. If a particular system or a particular formation or tactics that a coach decides to employ, uh, 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 in the Premiership, let me just put it in the Premiership right now. Don't change it. Don't tweak it until there is a legitimate problem. So I think we're going to go with the same team right now. The only area that I really feel like we have to tweak a little bit is that Zichenko Teni area, because I really do feel that Zichenko gives us something different, in that left wing back position.
Yeah,
he gives us something very, very different in that area, because he releases Azaka, to roam up front, create those false positions, and really create all those internal spaces for other players to be able to have a shot on goal or shot at goal. Uh, That's what Azichenko brings to that team. But again, Tierney might not be grounded defensively, but he also offers us something up front. Again, his pace up front, you can't deny that. So these players have what they bring to that Gunner team. But if it's me, I will go with Zichenko, because he offers us much going forward and offers us much even at the back, because he's always the first person running back when we lose the ball in an offensive position. When we're in transition offensively, he's always that first guy running back. While Thomas Partey, who is left in that midfield area to scan that area. It's there trying to, create those blockages. Zichenko gives us more defensively and offensively. So I don't see much changes. Saliba should be there, an absolute truck. Even if Gabriel Magalhaes has been plagued by mistakes this season, you can't deny that he has bounced back from his mistakes. The huge mistake against Fulham, he bounced back. Yeah,
Yeah.
even the mistake in the North London derby, he came back. He bounced back. His head was right even after that mistake in the 18-yard box where he just dashed out a penalty down there to Richarlison. So all these dynamics. We should keep Saka. Thomas Partey should be there. Martinelli. We should genuinely keep these guys there. Ben White is where I have a little bit of an issue because I still think a Tomiyasu can give us something different going forward and backward. He never loses an header, but yet. Ben White has been superb this season. You can't deny that fact. Is a change player this season, or what do you think, Anthony Herbert?
I thought, to be honest with you, I thought Ben White played well against obviously Tottenham. There was times where he was on the right and he drifted into the centre of the park, and we were being exploited only a little bit from that right from the right back position,
Yeah,
and the crosses were coming in,
yeah,
but it lead to nothing. So that was on his side. So he was very lucky there.
yeah,
I saw Tommy Yatu. For me, I think he's got to be in the right back position, not
yeah.
Ben White. I mean, we're lacking going forward. Getting the balls crossed into the area. He seems to go up to like the halfway line or just over, and then he'll make the pass to Saka. He doesn't really
Yeah.
do the full length of the pitch, does he, to get the ball in, like what Tommy Yasu would do. And he's got a good cross on him, that Tommy Yasu.
But
But
but again, can you remember who passed the ball to Thomas Partey to get a goal in our last match?
Ben White,
It's Ben White. So,
yeah,
when you see this changing dynamics, there's something he's doing in that team that Mikel Arteta truly believes that he's the man for that
yeah,
area, and definitely there's something he's doing right,
mm,
in training that makes him have the trust of Mikel Arteta. And let's forget trust here or being a player in Arsenal Football Club. Ben White is English. There's politics in that Arsenal changing room. Whether you want to understand this or not, there's politics going on right there. Ben Leno, that was his parting shot to Arsenal when he left for Fulham. He said, "Hey,
mm,
Arsenal, it's not about merit in a way. It's all about politics." He said that, and of
yeah,
course, when you have an English centre back who genuinely has a call up in the English team. Maybe not recently, but he has a shirt, he has a shout in that English team. And of course, now that Maguire is disgracing himself everywhere, of course, definitely he has to come into that England back four. Definitely, he will get his call up. Definitely,
mm,
but the thing is that this season, Ben White is a changed guy. From a centre back, he is transformed into one of the best right backs that Arsenal have ever had. You know, in recent seasons, in recent years.
yeah,
So and you coming up and giving a pass to Thomas Partey, and sometimes he even overlaps Saka. Actually, he does that sometimes. And if you watch the game that they've been playing recently, he even overlaps Saka, goes in to cut even in deep towards the 18-yard box. And when he does that, he relieves Saka, creates spaces for Saka to actually get back the ball in a pass back mode, and creates that opening for Saka to take 1, 2 defenders away and create those chances for the oncoming Zaka or Gabriel Jesus. And that's the dynamic
yeah.
that I've been playing with this season.
Trouble is, that you think of it, our back four is so rotational. It's unbelievable because you're seeing Sivchenko at left back, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So let's say if Tommy Yasu comes in at right back, you've got Saliba, Gabriel,
yeah,
and Ben White, the main centre back.
yeah,
You can drop Saliba to putting Ben White in that position. You'll have
If you
to
wish.
most probably rotate Gabriel in one way. But
Even Tommy Yasu plays as a centre back too.
exactly. So if you was to play a flat back four against Liverpool,
Yeah.
what flat back four would you play?
Hmm. See, yeah. Uh, Even if Gabriel Magalhaes has lots of mistakes in him, he still gives that our back for a kind of defensive stability in a way. You know, he's good with the headers. He's a goal threat naturally. He's very tall, 6 foot plus. So he gives us something at the back as well as up front. And of course he scored goals this season. So you can't take away that from his game. Uh, I, I'll still go with a Gabriel and William Saliba as the two centre backs right now. Uh, I have a problem with Benjamin White, in that right back positioning. But again, this season he's brought something different down there. For the first time, I'm seeing Saka being relieved of his duties, with him on that wings. He really, allows Saka to actually create those spaces in and about that 18-yard box from that cut in to the right and having openings for Gabriel Jesus and Zaka to slot in the balls. So, yeah, I'll go with the same back four that we have.
Team
I
back
won't
four.
tweak it. And again, don't change what is working.
Those teams
Don't
were
change
working.
what is working. Yeah.
Ah, that's fair enough. I just thought I'd ask the question because obviously there's so many players you could rotate in that back four. And I speak to any Arsenal fans or even fans that's not even Arsenal fans,
Yeah.
but they watch it and they see different. One lot likes Ben White, and other people don't like Ben White. But I
Yeah.
just thought I'd get certain people's views on him
True, true,
and that.
true,
So
true, true. Because he's what I call a divisive player. Because
mm,
whether you like it or not, the fan base is totally torn up on having sides in between. Should Benjamin White be there or shouldn't he be there? But again, you need a chunk of part of your team to be to be English in it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You need you need your players that are English to actually work in that team. You can't buy a player for over 50 million pounds and tell him to come and sit in the bench at Arsenal. It's not possible. And once it's English, it changes the whole dynamic because at least you need to fulfill that quota of English
mm,
players in your team. And when you have someone in the mode of Ben White, you just have to work with him. You just have
yeah,
to.
yeah. I suppose it'll be coming up in streams later on whether he's gonna. Well, it sounds like he's gonna pick him for England
But he
to
has
take the
credit in the
ball. But
bank because he's putting up those performances this season. So he still
yeah,
has a lot of credit in the bank right now.
yeah. Anyway, leading on to our next topic, last
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Right, this year's title race between Arsenal and United.
That's a big one. That's a big one, man. That's
Right,
a big one.
this
That's a big
wasn't
one.
mine, but this was thrown in at the end, and I gotta be honest with you, this is a great question.
It's a great one. It's a huge one. It's a huge one, and well, and it's the kind that you have to be very very careful because at the end of the season you can be mugged off and mocked off, you know, when certain things happen. When you look in hindsight, Manchester City is the best team in the league. You can't dispute that fact. But again, where I have objections with lots of people is when they come and tell me that Manchester City has already won the league. Many people have that in their head that they've already won the league. And I want to correct this, that fallacy because I still see Man City as this team that still has lapses. Even last season, they were very, very lucky to win the league. Last season, they were very, very lucky to have wins in Everton. You remember that, right? With
Yeah,
the VAR, everything, the cheating, blatant cheating that went on down there. Uh, Last season, they came to Emirates, and you saw what happened. They had a hard time to actually nick a result against us. And mind you, even this season, that's why we're top of the league. They've had problems with teams like Aston Villa this season. They have they've had problems with teams like Newcastle because their defense is not as invincible as their strike partnerships are. And mind you, right now, Manchester City, unlike what we've seen before, they always share the goals amongst themselves. A Bernardo Silva will come in and score goals. A Godogan will come in and score goals. A Foden has his own share to of a shout in that goal chunk. But right now, I can now see that they are building that team only for Erling Haaland. Who do you go to when you need goals for Manchester City this season? It's Erling Haaland, and that's a change in dynamic.
yeah,
They didn't have this before. They had all players ready to score. Kevin De Bruyne was ready to score at each point. But right now, this season, the goal tally of Kevin De Bruyne has really reduced. Bernardo Silva isn't putting in those goals he usually used to have. You know, at least in a competitive season that we've seen. It's the story of Erling Haaland. And now, put into hindsight or in retrospect, Erling Haaland has a checkered injury record in Borussia Dortmund. Every season he always gets injured. So now what happens when you're the striker that you've actually built your team around and that's putting in hat tricks everywhere across Europe, and you don't have that in your team again.
no. I
So
think
you
they
have
got that. Is it that backup striker? Is it Alvarez or something? His
he
name
has
was.
that Alvarez, but he still needs to be incorporated into the team, innit?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So
but I
Alvarez
mean,
is
he was
not
a
really having a good season anyway right now. Of course, he has scored one
yeah.
or two goals, but still,
I mean,
he's
he was
no
a
Ellen
January
Haaland.
buy for Man City, wasn't he? And then it loaned him back.
Exactly.
And I think that
Exactly.
season, I think he ended up scoring 25 goals there roundabouts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then obviously come to us, but well, over here to Man City. But then again, you think of it with Haaland. I actually looked today,
Yeah.
and it was a stat. It said Haaland scored
Yeah.
17 goals in 10 games, and Cristiano Ronaldo holds the record in 10 games. He got 18 goals. So Ronaldo was winning by one goal.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy. He's a goal machine. He's a goal machine. He's
yeah,
literally a robot. You know what? Elon Musk has just released this robot called Optimus that actually, helps you with everything you want to do. If you want to go to the market, he helps you out. If you need anything in your home, he'll help you do that. The game is changing. And right now, Manchester City have their own robot live in the flesh, and it's Erling Haaland. You can't dispute that fact. He's a legitimate goal robot. He's a
yeah.
legitimate goal machine. You can't dispute that fact. But to answer your question, this year's title is it for Arsenal and Manchester City? We can't be deluded in this. Just look at Liverpool with 11 points. I can't say this with my mouth, Anthony. Maybe you can help me say it. 11 points. That's the how far
It,
from glory, how far from
yeah.
great can
Do,
Liverpool be? 11
do
points, whooping
you know what,
11
Tone? I've
points.
noticed with this Liverpool team now, is ever since they sold Mane, they haven't got back into winning ways. Um, they bought that striker in Nunez. He hasn't really done anything, has he? I
I
know he's
don't.
got to get used to the football we play over here, sort of
I
thing.
don't.
But I mean, it was all this hype about him and that, and then Haaland, it's them two,
True.
and
True. True.
look who's done it. It's Haaland. But I can understand what you say about the injuries because when you played for Borussia Dortmund, I followed Haaland a little bit, playing over in Germany, and his injuries. What people don't realise is it's not injuries that he gets tackled. It's muscular injuries because
Yeah.
of his mass and his body structure,
And its body structure.
and he injures himself.
True. It's a
Do you
unit,
know what
isn't
I'm
it?
saying?
Yeah.
So but at the minute, I mean, obviously, he's good for Man City and he's injury free. But I could say these will gradually creep up, these injuries. And then the trouble is, though, when he gets these injuries, he's out for a certain length of time, which can affect
Exactly. Exactly. And this is what
a few
people
matches.
exactly. And this is what people don't, they are not confessing this fact. See
Yeah.
what happens when this game come in thick and fast. Because right now this game will come in thick and fast as we know it. And mind you, Arsenal can just rest, relax, use our second string team and play and mug off this 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 second tier players in Europa League and just settle down. Manchester City is fighting on all fronts. They'll be putting their best 11 because they're chasing invincibility. They'll be putting their first 11 in the Champions League. They'll be putting their first 11 in the FA Cup. They'll be putting up their first 11 everywhere they go.
Yeah.
So everywhere they go, they will because genuinely Pep Guardiola is chasing invincibility. He wants to do that. That's what he's chasing. That's why you spend that kind of money bringing in Erling Haaland. He's chasing invincibility. He should have walked off last season, but he stayed back because he wants to win a Champions League with these guys. He wants to win the league with these guys, and he wants to win the FA Cup. He wants to break that godlike record that Ferguson, has gotten. He wants it, and it kills him every season uh, uh, that he doesn't achieve that aim, and that's why he's going all out. And that's why I know when you're going to achieve that invincibility, you leave yourself open domestically for little teams to come and have a go at you. And mind you, teams like Newcastle have showed us the blueprint on how to pump them with goals at the back of their net. 3 goals they received in St. James Park. They've
Yeah.
showed that they can actually be susceptible at the back. It's a fact. Manchester United, even if it was a throbbing down there at the Etihad, but Manchester United actually showed that they can actually expose Manchester City and make a public show of them, putting 3 goals at the back of their net in a game that was already won by Manchester City. So there's still something about their back four that's susceptible to mistakes, susceptible to weaknesses. So if a team goes at them and exploits those
Um,
mistakes, you give them a good run for their money.
so you don't think with obviously Man City again in the Man United game, the amount of goals that they were winning by, they sort of took their feet off the gas, and then Manchester United exploited that and obviously scored three goals basically.
Well, when last have you heard that Manchester City have released or have decided to, take their foot off the gas? In most games, they go to finish the game. They go to kill it. They don't remove anything gas. They want to pump in more goals because they know the importance of pumping in goals. They know that a Liverpool can come in and at any time and pump a team by 10 goals to zero. They know this. So they genuinely would not put any gas. That was Manchester United coming back into the game. Let's don't mistake that for any uh, pressing any pedal or any gas. No. Manchester
Right.
United genuinely went at them because Manchester City, see, when you want to play Manchester City, they feed off your fear as a team. They feed off your fear. Teams like Liverpool, they feed off your fear. But if you're a team that have totally no respect for them, go at them as it comes. You- They'll be flustered. They genuinely don't know what to do. And that's why teams like Liverpool are having big problems right now. They used to fluster teams even before they play teams. And that's why Arsenal have always had to be playing them from the back foot because we're already flustered even before we even go down there. And we go there to play negative football by sitting at the back, thinking that we can be able to catch them on the break. And that has always been the problem with Arsenal facing Liverpool over seasons because we played a defensive approach with them and we don't even have the right personnel to even play defensively. Who have been playing in our defense? Mustafi. It's a disgrace.
Yeah. So going into the season, Saint, who's going to win the Premier League?
Well, I know you're trying to put me in the spot, Anthony. I believe that I've earned your friendship, and for you to want to put me on this spot right now, it's making me have a rethink. But I'm just joking, Anthony. But
You know what? I'll be honest with you. If you want me to answer this one, I'm going to answer this one truthfully, and is
no,
my
of course I
opinion.
will answer, and of course I would like to hear from you because you too, you have to put
We're
yourself
top.
on the spot too.
Yeah, we're top of the Premier League at the minute.
Yeah,
Um, we're doing well, but for how long have we stopped? And at the minute, I'm just enjoying being top of the Premier League. But in my
true,
opinion, I don't think we're going to win the Premier League. I just don't. I
understandable,
feel it's going to be Man City. They've got the players there. They got the strength, the depth. If their players are injured, you're replacing class with class players. That's Man City all along. You're talking the
understandable,
best team in the Premier League, maybe the best team in the world. So that's
understandable.
my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, totally understandable. Luca, you're welcome to the show. Neil Kane, welcome to the show. Miss Melina, welcome to the show. Miss Melina, I sent you a message on your Twitter. Please go read that message because I want to work with you.
Big up, Niall.
Um, yeah. See, yeah. Anthony,
Okay.
I really
Yep.
do see people that just tell me that Manchester City has won the league already. I see it as a lazy, very, very lazy comment. And the thing here about making this
Yeah.
type of lazy commentary or punditry is that there will be times that Manchester City would have to play tough games in the Champions League. It would leave them open domestically. This is one thing people don't really understand. And mind you, when these games come in, thick and fast, thick and fast, what is going to happen? Even if you have a large squad depth, injuries will slowly creep in. I don't want to know how you want to do it. Injuries will slowly creep in. And mind you, this Manchester City team we're talking about, they're not they're not 21, they're not 22, they're not 23 like that Arsenal team that might have a very, very improved way of actually healing up. We're talking of Godogan here. We're talking of Bernardo Silva. These guys are in 21 or 22. They will have problems at the end of the day. Even last season, there was a time where Manchester City never had two injury free centre backs at the time. They had to, use makeshift defenses at the time. So what are we talking about? Injuries will come. And when these games come thick and fast and they have to pursue invincibility in the Champions League and invincibility also domestically, it will tell on them. And Arsenal has the luxury that we don't have this problem because right now our second string team is actually churning out the wins we deserve and need in the Europa League. So we don't need to do anything than just to go into the market by January and get in credible players that can be able to help us in our title push. Where are those places? We do need a replacement for Thomas Partey. I'm hearing that Chelsea Football Club has been pushing N'Golo Kante to Arsenal. They did it in the summer. Mind you, I also do transfer dailies also. So I have big informations on things like this that go on. They've been throwing in Golo Kante for us since the summer, since the beginning of the summer, this past summer. It did not materialize because N'Golo Kante has a kind of affinity with the Chelsea to just stay back, and they didn't want to really push him because he's a club legend. He has that status already in the Chelsea dressing room. Uh, but but they've noticed that they cannot keep him because of the niggling injuries he keep having. Now, is an N'Golo Kante the kind of guy I want at Arsenal? No, I need someone more younger. But again, this is a title push. We need any hands on deck right now. We need every experience that we can get to help these young players achieve what they want to achieve right now. So will I take an N'Golo Kante right now? Yes, I would have him in my team. Will I go in the January market and buy a striker? Yes. Arsenal is already in talks with Juventus to get Miret and Vlahovic into the team for £101 million. See, Kronkers have been putting up the cash right now. That's one thing you need to know. Do you think they will back this manager more? I think yes, because they showed signs of it by giving him a 2 year contract. The Cronkies are very stubborn and strange people. For them to
Yeah,
be
they
able to
are.
give
Yeah.
Mikel Arteta a 2 year contract
But
additionally means that they
but
want to
it's like
back
what I
the
said, we
manager
need
to
a
the
good
end.
transfer window, obviously after the World Cup. But that's what a keep Arsenal intention in line
Yeah,
with the league,
yeah,
with Man City.
yeah,
But if there's any team that's going to challenge Man City this season, obviously it looks like it's us at the minute. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm happy with that team, to be honest with you. You
True.
know, it's just something different, and for us, it's good. I'm just
Yeah,
going to go
true.
through a few comments. So
Yeah.
we got Luca in the
Luca,
house. He's
our
saying
friend
hi.
Luca. Big ups to you,
You
Luca.
all right, Luca? And then he's saying,
How
"How
are
are
you?
you?" I'm fine, Luca. You all
I'm
right, too?
fine too. Anthony, I was at Lucas' show, and then on his show, I predicted that Arsenal was going to completely obliterate Tottenham Hotspurs by 3 goals to 1. He was like, I don't think so. I don't think. Bro, and it happened. Luca, if you're here and you're listening, I want to come back to your show again and have a show, and talk to you a little bit about what's going on. And after we put Liverpool on a spliff on Sunday, I want to come to your show. I just have to come to your show.
Yeah.
And Miss Melina, she said hi, and she says
Yes,
respect
hi
Tony,
from Miss
Claude, and
Melina.
Anthony. See, Melissa, big ups to you. I sent you a message on your Twitter. See, you're the kind of gooner that I want to work with, because Arsenal Football Club is, see, we're facing a very, very dangerous time right now. Our fan base is totally divisive right now, and it's dangerous for the club. I pride myself in being a guy of peace, in bringing in being that kind of person that wants to bring the fan base together, because everywhere we go, we've been battered and bastardized and called names. No one trusts us, even right now, that we're the top of the league. So I need people like you, Miss Melina. You're a very positive person. I need people like you and us to be the custodians of this title push. I need you on my team, and I want to be on your team too. Let's go and galvanize our fan base. Let's totally push for this, because I really believe that you believe that Arsenal is going to achieve something. So come, let's do things together. Let's create content together and make things
Yeah,
better. Let's bring our fan base together, and
yeah.
that's what
I
I'm
mean,
doing
he's
with
all right as
Anthony
well,
Herbert.
Luca. He's a good guy, Luca.
Yeah,
He's just Arsenal through and through, and and
yeah,
his opinion. I respect his opinion because things that Luca does say, it does make sense, and I understand where he comes from every now and then, Luca. So I mean, big up to him. Miss Melina here respects to Tony, Claude, and Anthony. Thank you, Miss Melina, and respect to you.
thank you, Miss Melina. God bless you wherever you are.
Yeah, so I think that's it now. We're going to come gone over the hour, so
Yeah, definitely,
I'm
definitely.
going to get a
Because
bollock here.
yeah,
Sorry
because we
about that.
started we started late, so we have to give our subscribers something to live with. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
But
only good
before we go,
we
Tony,
extended it.
I didn't say what your scoreline was going to be this weekend against Liverpool. What's your scoreline?
See, it depends on a whole lot of factors. This one is a very very dicey one. because again, we're playing Liverpool Football Club. Now, I don't want to downgrade what Liverpool Football Club stands for, you know. But again, you also need to understand that Liverpool as a team, we've been their whooping boys for the past 4 or 5 seasons. You can't deny this fact. But
Yeah,
integrity of this whoopings that we've had in Anfield and even in the Emirates, uh, we had we had a lackluster defense. We didn't have someone in the mode of William Saliba down there. We had players like Holding, Mustafi, handling our defensive tactics, being the soldiers, holding the Arsenal emblem at the time. And of course, we know this kind of players are disaster players. But right now, we do have a William Saliba who kind of like shuts everything down in that back four. Of course, complementary to compliments must also go down to Magales, who has actually glue. Of course, he has little one, two niggling mistakes in him, but he has formed a very, very good partnership with William Saliba. So now we now have that kind of like moderate kind of back four to actually go on the attack and actually face a Liverpool. Liverpool has always been feeding from the fear that we've always displayed because we
yeah,
always play from the back foot, trying to defend and trying to have one or two breaks. That's the
yeah,
mentality we've always had with Liverpool. But right now that we're playing possession based football, like you can see, even in the game we lost, we had a 69. I mean, in Manchester United, in Old Trafford, of all places, we had a possession game of about 61 to a kind of a ball playing side right now. We want to hold the ball, and that's what we're going to use to welcome Liverpool on Sunday. We want the ball. Before we didn't want the ball with Liverpool. We always had this kind of fear, and that's what people like Manchester City and Liverpool do to you. They feed
yeah.
off your fear.
So what would be your scoreline? What?
Anthony Herbert. Okay. I reckon that Arsenal is going to win by 2 goals to 1. But if Klopp comes in and totally disrespects us in a way by playing three at the back and
Mm,
completely exposing its midfield, they will get a 3-1. Because I still
mm,
have this feeling like Klopp want to disrespect us the same way that Conte did. Because if Conte wanted to have won that game or effectively done something, he would have shut down his midfield by trusting a Bissouma and making that midfield a midfield five and sacrificing one of the front three players in Son, Kane, or Richarlison this season. Son
mm,
has been bad. Why can't you just, remove Son and have an extra player in that midfield and form a brick wall so that Arsenal cannot be able to play their normal tiki-taka and explosive passing in and out and transition game? That's what they should have done. And
mm,
if Klopp comes to disrespect us in that same way, they will be taking home a 3-1
mm.
deficit come on Sunday.
Well,
Trust me. Trust me, they've not seen this type of hit before. We're coming.
obviously, I want Arsenal win. I'm going to go 2-1, same as you, Tim. But
Yeah. It's
there's
good
a
I got
draw
that from
looming in
you
the
because
back of
in
my
stream
head. So,
you've been saying two. You've been saying two too. So it's good. It's good that you want to, see Anthony. I want you to join in. Come back home, brother. Come back home. We need you. We need you. We
I
need you to
know,
back this team. We need you, brother. We
yeah.
need you. Yeah.
I do back the team. I do back the team.
Yeah.
But I just didn't like us losing. So I'd rather take a point
I know, but we
than
need you in the front lines.
than a
We
lose.
need you
But
standing with us in the front lines. We
yeah,
we, we
I mean,
need
I
you,
hope we
brother.
do win. I hope we do win. But
Yeah.
I want to say 2-1. But I'm going to go with my head on this one. I'm going to go 1-1 because they're going to do something and they're going to put their A game. So it's
If
going to
if there's
be
if
a
there's
very
any
tight game.
time,
Put it this way.
Anthony, if there's any time to get points from Liverpool, Now is the
It's
time.
now. Yeah,
Trust me,
yeah,
now is the time. Now is the time, and they'll be panicky on Sunday because they want to force out a score.
yeah,
They want to come back. They want to bounce back and make a statement against a team like Arsenal. So, they'll be opened up for mistakes. Trust me, they'll be opened up for mistakes. They won't be
they will
that
be. Yeah,
careful. Yeah, you know, they'll be opened up for mistakes. I'm very
mm,
sure of that. And mind you, these guys are plagued by injuries. They're just barely, they're just barely up to scratch right now. Thiago is carrying an injury, whether we like it or not. Yota is carrying an injury. They just bandaged up for these matches. Trust me, very soon these guys will go on a lengthy medical treatment. Trust me, they're just bandaging them. And mind you, Klopp has been begging for signings from the
yeah,
FSG. He's been begging for signings. So this is a problem. It's not going to show now, but by the time they go and play lots of Champions League matches and come back, trust me, they'll feel it. They'll
they
feel
will.
it.
Yeah.
Trust
But
me.
we've come to the end of the show, mate. We've gone over the hour mark, 11 minutes. But I just want to say I apologise. We were coming on late. We had technical problems and that. It was
Yeah.
my end. My Wi-Fi was playing up. It was playing up slightly through the stream, but we just carried on saying like we normally
Exactly.
do. We all carry on.
Exactly. We all carry on.
But before we go, can you let everyone know where we can find you, mate?
Hey guys, I'm that simple to get. It's always a honor to see. I feel my liveliest. I've been to lots of podcasts. I feel my liveliest when I'm with Anthony because Anthony gives me this kind of energy that I just want to talk with him. Behind the scenes, we're friends too. He follows me everywhere I go, and I want to follow him wherever he goes too. So you can genuinely find me if you want positive Arsenal content, because that's what I set out to do when I opened my channel. I wanted to bring Arsenal fans together. Even if you have your opinion, you can be constructive in your criticisms. Let's come together. Let's push this title push that we have here. Let's push it further. Let's create something great. We're all Gunners. So you can find me on Tony Cloud Gunner TV. I'm ready to work with people that want to work with me and I want to push positive content out there and bring our fan base together. That's what I want to do. So find me on Tony Cloud Gunner TV on YouTube. Subscribe. Find me on Instagram. I'm always there. I'm always making jokes out of teams. That wanna. You can find me there on Tony Cloud Gunner TV, and of course you can find me on Twitter on Tony Cloud Gunner. So just catch me there.
Oh, that's excellent stuff. And cheers, team. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah,
All
sure.
right.
Anytime, Anthony. And anytime you need me, if you need one guy that that should support you and go to war with you, and whatever,
Yeah.
you can count
All
on
right
me,
then.
Anthony.
Yeah.
Always.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
So that's it now. We're going to go. And I hope everybody has a good weekend. And
yeah.
any Arsenal fans out there, enjoy the game. Come
Enjoy the
on, you
game, guys.
Arsenal.
Come on, you Gunners.
See you later.
Yeah, take care. Hey, buddy, we did it again.